What up, Ho Biscuits? It's your girl Skitten, back at it again. As promised, I'm delivering you spooky, scary content all the way up until and through October 31st, Halloween night. Today's video is creepy facts as curated by r/AskReddit. I am concerned, cause people just be knowing some crazy shit that y'all have no business knowing. So I definitely feel like this is gonna get very morbid, very macabre. I used to say macabre, but that's not how you fucking say that word. Anyway, it's gonna get sketchy. If you guys haven't already checked the other videos out in this series, make sure you go ahead and check those out. I have an SCP video. I have a video about serial killers. There's gonna be a lot going on, okay? Oh, I have that short horror movie that I reacted to. There's a lot there. There's something for everybody. So make sure you guys go ahead and check those out. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started.
What are some very creepy facts? The Colombian serial killer Pedro Alonso Lopez, who is known as the Monster of the Andes, arrested and murdered over 300 girls from Ecuador, Peru 300? And Colombia. However, after he was caught and imprisoned for 18 years, he was put in a psychiatric hospital.
Oh my God,
where he was reviewed, declared to be sane and was set free, in spite of his blatant avowal that he fully intends to kill again. Since he was released in 1998, nobody knows where he is or what he's doing.
Are you kidding me?
He is supposed to be 71 years old at present. He is known for being the most prolific killer ever.
Oh my God.
There is a genetic disease called fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva.
Okay.
When tissue is damaged, it is replaced with bone.
Oh no.
Growths form underneath their skin and their joints lock solid, so over time those affected slowly become encased in a prison of bone just beneath their own skin. They usually have to choose between sitting or standing up for the rest of their life. By the end of their life they have to drink every meal through a straw and can barely move. Your eyes have a separate immune system from the rest of your body.
Really?
If they get damaged in such a way that it affects anything other than your eyes, your regular immune system can attack the damage and will not recognize them, meaning your own body can permanently blind you.
Oh!
What's worse, your body cannot tell the difference between either eye.
What?
If one of them gets infected or damaged,
It just says
your
fuck
immune
both of
system
them.
can attack your healthy eye and take away your sight entirely.
Is that why like people used to go blind from fucking scarlet fever and shit?
Rosemary Kennedy was JFK's sister.
Okay.
She suffered from oxygen deprivation at birth and that unfortunately stunted her mental growth. She had a pretty decent childhood, but as she grew older she began to act out, afraid that her behavior would risk his political career. Her father, Joseph, agreed to have her lobotomized.
No.
Her mother, Rose, was against it and forbade him from doing it, so he did it behind her back when she went on a trip. After the operation, Rosemary's already low IQ was lowered even further, to the point she could no longer walk or communicate. Her family had her locked up in an institution and basically disowned her. They never visited and never publicly acknowledged her anymore. Rosemary died at the age of 86. Her mother never forgave her husband for what he had done.
As she shouldn't. The fact that she did not... The fact that that man remained alive after doing that? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Could not be fucking me. I would have been in prison. I would be in prison for murdering my husband. Absolutely. 100%.
Remember that bath salts cannibal guy from a couple years back?
Yes, of
He
course.
wasn't high on bath salts when he did that. That was just media speculation and bullshit.
Oh, okay.
They only found pot in his system during the autopsy.
Ooh.
We still have no idea why he flipped out.
Okay, I did not know
The men
that.
of the ship Essex, the true event that inspires the story Moby Dick avoided islands after being shipwrecked for fear of cannibals. The islands were settled and landing there would have brought salvation to the survivors. Ironically, because of this bypass, the men ran out of food and were forced to eat each other for survival. You know what's even creepier? 2 of the sailors were later rescued by an American ship. They were alone at sea for so long and had to cannibalize their crewmates to survive. When they saw their rescuers, they immediately stashed bones in their pockets. They didn't seem to care that they were rescued. They were obsessed with the bones of their fallen crewmates, so they can suck on the bone marrows.
Ew.
Even after they were on board the ship, they refused to depart from the bones and would even attack anyone who would come close.
But honestly...
Cannibals find...
like, Cannibals is awful, but, like, can you blame them?
Cannibals find the palm of the hand the tastiest. Joke's on them. I had my dick in my hand before. A firework can go as big as an EF3 tornado.
The fuck is a firework?
In 1923, such happened in Japan during an earthquake. The son of a bee killed 38,000 people in less than 15 minutes. They got hit by a tornado that was on effing fire in the middle of an earthquake that caused a tsunami, all while surrounded by firestorms.
Oh my god.
Elmer McCurdy was a failed Old West outlaw. His preserved body was put on display in a traveling carnival, and years later he was eventually assumed to be a mannequin until he was used on set for the TV show The $6 Million Man.
No!
His arm accidentally fell off during the shoot, revealing bone and muscle and that he was a corpse, not a mannequin. The guy died in 1911, but it was only in 1976, 65 years later, that they discovered he wasn't a mannequin, but a petrified corpse covered in wax.
Oh my god.
This is creepy indeed.
Yeah, that's awful.
After raping his blindfolded victims, the Golden State Killer would be super duper quiet and pretend like he was gone, and right when the poor victims would start to move towards the phone or try to untie themselves, he would scare the effing shit out of them. After listening to the many hours of his crimes being listened in court today, this is just a cherry on the horrible cake that is D'Angelo. One reason that crows and ravens are with death is because they would often follow armies as they marched to battle. Being both carrion birds and extremely intelligent,
Smart as hell.
they realized that a large group of armed men marching on one direction meant that there would be a tasty meal of corpses to eat soon afterwards.
That makes sense.
That's actually pretty neat. I'd like to subscribe to Crow Facts, thanks. Thank you for subscribing to Crow Facts. Did you know that crows can speak English?
Ooh.
Crocodiles can gallop like a horse. I don't like knowing this, so I am cursing you people with this knowledge as well.
Like a horse.
Fortunately, alligators cannot.
Oh, okay.
So that's how you tell them apart. Yeah, but now I'm confused how to tell a horse and crocodile
That's
apart.
funny. That's not a creepy fact.
Imagine
That's just
being
cool.
totally aware of someone performing CPR but you physically can't move or respond. Well, that's what happens when you get bitten by a blue-ringed octopus. You have approx 6 minutes between being bitten and someone starting CPR to keep your heart and lungs functioning to
shit.
ensure you survive, all whilst being totally aware of what is
no.
happening to you. Neurotoxins are fun. The really creepy thing about this is one story of a guy who got stung, got CPR performed on him and survived, but went blind because he was lying on his back, eyes open, unable to blink because of the paralysis, staring into the sun.
Oh,
Imagine
no.
lying there, unable to move, unable to communicate, the sun slowly burning out
Oh
your
my
eyes and you can't shut them.
God.
Imagine lying there, unable to move, unable to communicate, the sun slowly burning out your eyes and you can't shut them. No, I don't think I will.
Yeah, I don't want to do
The
that.
US has
actually.
lost 6 nuclear warheads in total.
What do you mean
Your
lost?
brain can.
What do you mean lost? Lost? Lost or like lost? Is it lost like, oh, we lost them, but like actually we gave them to somebody else so that they could overthrow a government that wasn't favorable to us? Or is it lost like we actually don't know where the fuck those bitches went? What kind of lost are we talking here?
Play tricks on you to make you see monsters in the mirror,
Okay.
called the troxler effect. The
Oh.
troxler effect is an optical illusion that affects how you perceive things, both
Well,
visually
if my
and
brain
mentally.
could just not do that, I would
I
appreciate
once
it.
read that you should play dead if a bear attacks you.
Right, yes.
Unless they start licking your wounds because that means they plan to eat
Oh,
you.
no.
That still haunts me to this day. If it's black, fight back. If it's brown,
Lie
grizzly, lie down.
I do remember
and
that
if it's
one.
white, say goodnight.
Yeah.
The astronauts
basically.
aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger most likely didn't die until they hit the water miles below the initial explosion.
Why do you
Astronaut and
lie?
NASA lead accident investigator Robert Overmeyer said, I not only flew with Dick Scobby, STS-51L commander, we owned a plane together, and I know Scob did everything he could to save his crew. Scob fought for any and every edge to survive. He flew that ship without wings all the way down.
Wow.
They were alive.
Wow.
If the sun exploded right now, you would be blissfully unaware of it for just over 8 minutes while the energy travels at the speed of light to get to you.
Well.
I hope it explodes at nighttime just to be safe. There's a spider that gives you a 3H long boner. Before you die from its bite, edit. The boner it gives
was
you
gonna
is
say-
very painful.
Don't get too excited now. Don't get too excited. It's not gonna be fun for nobody involved.
Die hard. If it bites you, you might as well dick slap it into next week.
said die hard.
It wasn't until 1987 that the American Academy of Pediatrics declared it unethical to operate on newborns without anesthesia.
What?
Until surprisingly recently, the medical community felt it would be dangerous to give infants anesthesia and or believed that they didn't feel pain.
What?
Thank God I was born in 1987.
Oh my god.
Polar bears are the only animals that are thought to actively hunt humans.
Hey bitch, you gotta
The
eat
human body
when
can
you
be
out
drained
there.
of blood in 8.6 seconds given adequate vacuuming systems.
Vacuuming?
Not everyone can
Vacuuming.
afford a Dyson.
Who's out here vacuuming blood out of human bodies? Who is doing that? Who is doing that? Why? Why are you doing? Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
People smell different when they're awake. That's my favorite thing. Dyson. Most people smell different when they're awake.
Alright,
That's
sure.
my favorite thing to whisper.
I don't go
Since
around smelling
1900,
people,
over 13,000 people have been murdered by serial killers in the
so. That's
USA.
a lot of fucking people.
Female
Jesus.
mummies in ancient Egypt were always more decomposed than their male counterparts. They discovered that this was because male bodies were embalmed a lot sooner than female bodies. Female bodies were kept at the family home until they started to decompose in order to avoid necrophilia at the embalmers.
like that didn't
Well, that
stop
escalated quickly.
Feel
If
like that
Reddit
didn't
has
help.
taught me anything, it's that necrophilia is inevitable.
That is true though.
There
Yeah.
are upwards of 300 active serial killers in the world.
What do you mean
Seems
active,
low,
bitch?
honestly. 300 is a lot, but out of 8 billion. Famous last words though.
True.
Known to be active. Think about how many people go missing and are never found.
Yeah.
The part that's insane to me is that people like BTK and Willie Picton were caught post 2000, but were active for a long time, decades prior.
Yeah.
To me that means there have to be some people out there today that have a high body count and haven't
Like
been
the
caught
Golden
yet.
State Killer.
A single tiger has killed over 436 people in India.
One?
Sense of impending doom is an actual symptom that often precedes your death. Usually in cases of heart attack. Very creepy for some of us that
was gonna
suffer
say,
from
well, damn, I
anxiety
must
and
be about to
panic
die all the
attacks to
fucking
begin
time.
with. Both share that symptom. I
Yeah.
have a heart condition, and sometimes I'll feel a weird beat. Then I will feel that horrible sense of impending doom. It is such a horrible
Dang,
feeling.
that sucks. I'm sorry.
Since
Broski.
2007, at least 20 detached human feet have been found on the coasts of the Salish Sea, and then there's the hands with 27 pairs of them. Of course, Kira is the first comment on the post.
I'm sorry. Did you say 20 detached human feet? 20? 20? At least? And 27 pairs of hands? Where's the Salish Sea? Let me just look this up real quick. I'm just gonna Salish Sea. The Salish Sea is a marginal sea of the Pacific Ocean, located in the Canadian province of British Columbia and the U.S. state of Washington. Guess where my black ass is never fucking going then. Guess. Just guess where you will not find fucking me. 27 pairs of hands. What?
27
Come on.
pairs of them. Of course, Kira is the first comment on the post. There's a parasite that enters a fish's mouth, eats the tongue
Yeah,
and replaces
we
itself
saw
as the
this in the
fish's
Hood
new
Nature
tongue.
video.
As a fish. There isn't a cure and it sucks.
As
I
a
keep
fish.
saying stuff I don't mean to say.
Ha 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 ha.
According to Abe Lincoln's bodyguard Crook, he said Lincoln had a dream about his own assassination 3 nights in a row
And y'all
before
couldn't
he
set
was
up no
killed.
more fucking
Crook told
security for
Lincoln
him?
not to go on that fateful
he
night,
did.
and all Lincoln said was goodbye. Crook before he went to the play. This was very odd as Lincoln always said, good night not goodbye. The
Damn.
last witness to Lincoln's assassination was interviewed on TV in the 1950s.
Really? I would love to see
Hearing
that
is the
interview.
last thing to go after you die. You just might hear the paramedics and firefighters call off CPR.
That would be sad.
You know, that's actually kinda nice. You know that if ever you have someone dying in your arms,
They can hear
they're
you.
hearing you as they
Yeah.
die. You know comforting them is working. Unless they have hearing damage. Man,
Well,
that
damn.
sucks. You might know that you are too far gone. And that you will die. Well, if hearing is the last thing to go, your brain probably isn't doing much thinking about anything at that point.
Okay.
God, I think this is the worst one
It's
so
just
far.
sad. Yeah.
Mount Everest is covered in frozen corpses because removing them is very
I do
unsafe
know
and
this one.
time consuming. They are easily viewed from the climbing routes and some are used as trail markers.
What do you mean as
What's odd
trail
is that
markers?
although the bodies are prominent, in some cases there is no consensus on their identity. Like over the years 2 different people with a similar description didn't return from their Everest climb.
Wow.
And we know the body is probably one of them.
But we don't know
but
which
not
one.
sure which. Or is it more creepy that some of the bodies are indeed identified? And somewhere out there is a family who knows full well that their loved one's remains are a landmark on the world's
I would
most
burn
famous
everything
mountain.
down.
Turn out green boots.
Yeah.
The
I would burn
origins
it all
of
down.
vampires as we know them. Basically your body has gas buildup when you die. I'm not medically inclined enough to explain why.
Okay.
Basically the gas has to escape somehow, and so it would pass through the vocal cords in the throat. This
Oh.
creates the low moan that makes the body sound as if it was in pain. The people back then had no idea what was happening and random bodies would just start moaning in pain. And thus they believed that the bodies were rising from the
Okay.
dead. And when stabbed, the gas escaped otherwise, thus leading to the belief that the only way to stop a vampire was
I was
to
gonna say,
stab
that
a
sounds
dead
more like
body in the
zombies than
chest.
vampires, but
This
okay,
also
I'll
led
take
to
it.
a lot of strange burials. That is the man that was buried in a stone wall to prevent him from
Yeah.
rising from the dead. I can't really blame them. I'd be freaked out too if a corpse suddenly started to make sounds.
Yeah, same.
Creepy
actually.
for some. But I find stuff like that fascinating.
Yeah, 'cause you're
There's
weird, but it's fine.
documentaries
We
on
love
YT
you.
talking about
love
it.
you. It's
I
fine.
highly recommend them. Vampires don't moan. They say blah blah blah.
Blah, blah,
CNN has had a pre-recorded broadcast from the 90s which they will premiere during the end of the world.
I'd
After
love to
getting
see that.
stung by a
It'd be
cone
hysterical.
snail, you don't feel the sting for a little bit. There is no antivenin and it can be lethal.
Yeah, I do know
Treatment
that
is
much.
basically keeping the victim alive until the venom wears off.
Hope and
Cone
prayers.
snails
Thoughts
are pretty
and prayers,
freaky.
man.
Some of the most deadly ones can kill you in 30 minutes or less after they sting you. Their shells are super pretty too, so any beachcomber should be aware of these creatures and know how to pick up a shell carefully just in case someone might still be inside, till there are killer snails.
Yeah. Murderous
From Atlas
snails.
Obscura by Fodder, Thurus, and Morton, Necropants. Reader's discretion
Necropants.
advised. In Iceland, a long time ago, 17th
A long-ass time
friends
ago.
followed complex rules to obtain a dead man's skin to turn them into pants.
What?
You had to get permission from the dude to use his skin after he kicked the bucket. You would then wait until burial formalities concluded. You would rob the shout of your buddy's grave. You would cut the waist and peel the bottom half of the body off in one perfect flay. You would then steal a coin from a poor widow, preferably your butts. Place the coin in the scrotum of the necropants to attract cosmic specifically more wealth in life, and leave the groin full of coins at all times. Pass that down to your kid. Fun fact, the Museum of Icelandic Sorcery and Witchcraft has a pair on display for all of us sickos to gawk at. Necropants had me laughing, but it was downhill from there.
I'm ending the video here because that is awful. That is horrific. And I'm so sorry to say this, and I already know there's gonna be somebody in the comments who bitches and moans about it, and fuck you. That is some white people shit. We had some creepy facts. We had some facts that were fun. We had some facts that were sad. We had some facts that were weird. This fact was just straight up gross. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys appreciate the sacrifice that I'm making for you guys to create spooky Halloween content. Okay? Don't forget to leave your reaction requests and recommendations down in the comments below. And other than that, peace out, Hope Biscuits. It's Skittenlit.